I should have known the moment she told me to wear a button-up. Layla had this way of asking without really asking, like when she suggested I maybe leave the shop uniform in the truck this time and tossed me a shirt I hadn't worn since my cousin's wedding. I didn't argue. I just changed, even though the collar felt like it was choking me the entire drive to the restaurant. The place was new, some trendy grill bar in Tulsa, all reclaimed wood and Edison bulbs. The kind of place where you order steak, but it shows up looking like an art project. Not really my scene, but Layla was excited. Said we were meeting her boss for dinner and that this could be huge for her career. I told her I was proud, and I meant it. We pulled up in her car, the one I'd rebuilt from the inside out. She barely glanced at me the entire ride. Just scrolled her phone, checking her makeup in the reflection like she was prepping for an interview instead of a night out with her husband. We walk in. Mr. Chapman is already at the table. White button-down, no tie, sleeves casually rolled like he's trying to show he doesn't take himself too seriously. Hair slicked back with a precision that screamed money. Smile polished like his shoes. He stood and shook my hand, but his eyes were already back on Layla. I noticed. Mark, right? He said, like he was double-checking the name of the waiter. That's me, I replied, keeping my tone even. We sat. They ordered drinks before I could even open the menu. Cabernet for me, Layla said, flashing a smile. Same, Chapman said, already laughing. We're on the same wavelength as always. I ordered a beer. Something domestic. He smirked. The conversation flowed for them at least. They spoke in half-phrases and inside jokes like I was just background noise. She kept touching her hair, leaning in too close. Chapman didn't bother to hide how much he was enjoying the view. I tried to focus on my ribs, which turned out to be more bones than meat, but my appetite was gone. Then she said it. So, Layla started, swirling her wine. Mark fixed the garbage disposal last week. I swear, I'm basically married to a mechanic and a handyman rolled into one. Chapman chuckled. Ah, so the husband with dirty hands, he said, flashing his teeth. Bet you're great at fixing cars and changing tires, huh? I smiled, tight-lipped. Something like that. Layla laughed. He always smells like oil and exhaust, but hey, it's kind of his thing. That stung more than it should have. I looked at her, but she didn't meet my eyes. Just kept sipping her wine. There was a moment, maybe 5 seconds, where everything just cracked. I didn't say a word. I didn't have to. My silence was loud enough. I gripped my fork, knuckles white. Chapman kept talking, but I couldn't hear anymore. Just this buzzing in my ears, like static. That was when I realized something had shifted. Not just in the conversation in her. She wasn't embarrassed to be married to a guy who works at an auto shop. She was ashamed. After dinner, I reached for the check. Old habit. She stopped me with a look. It's on the company, she said quickly. Work expense. Chapman nodded. Perks of doing well. Gotta celebrate our best talent. I forced a smile. When we stepped outside, I headed for the car, but Layla didn't follow. She stayed behind with Chapman, typing something into her phone. We're staying a bit longer, she said, not even looking at me. Don't wait up. I blinked. Wait, what? We're just gonna grab another drink, she added, brushing a hand through her hair. It's fine. Go home, babe. And just like that, she vanished into the crowd with him. I stood there in the parking lot, hands in my pockets, watching the door swing shut behind them. For a minute, I thought maybe I misheard. That maybe she'd come running out laughing, saying it was a joke. She didn't. The drive home was quiet. No music. Just the hum of the tires and my heartbeat pounding in my ears. I walked into the house, still smelling like wood smoke and wine, and there it was, the casserole I had made earlier that afternoon. Chicken, mushroom, a little Parmesan crust on top. Her favorite. Still warm. Still untouched. I stared at it for a long time, then covered it in foil and slid it into the fridge. It felt like a metaphor. She hadn't eaten it, and honestly, it felt like she hadn't really seen me in months. The clock ticked past midnight. Then 2 a.m. At some point, I moved to the couch, more out of instinct than comfort. I kept checking my phone, waiting for a text that never came. I kept thinking she wouldn't stay out all night. Not like this. Not without letting me know. At 3:14 a.m. I sent a message. You okay? Nothing. Just let me know if you're safe. Still nothing. I laid there with my eyes wide open, staring at the ceiling fan spinning lazily above me. And I started thinking about the way she laughed at his jokes. The way she kept touching her necklace when she talked to him. Something she only did when she was nervous or excited. The way he looked at her, like he already had her. I'd been so focused on being the good guy, on supporting her, believing in her. I never considered she might outgrow me, or think she had. But sitting on that couch, surrounded by silence, I couldn't deny it anymore. I wasn't her partner that night. I was her punchline. I didn't sleep. I laid there, still in the clothes from dinner, staring at the dim ceiling like it had answers it refused to give. My phone stayed in my hand all night, screen lighting up every few minutes, not with a message from Layla, but from Phantom Hope. I kept refreshing her location, our text thread, her Instagram. Nothing. At first, I worried something bad had happened to her. Tulsa wasn't exactly dangerous, but bars at 2 a.m. attract the kind of energy no one wants to gamble with. What if her drink was spiked? What if she got in the wrong Uber? I even opened her emergency contact list, ready to call the police. But then, a notification popped up. One of her coworkers had posted a story, blurry but obvious. There she was, Layla, dancing in that same blue dress I bought her last month. The one she swore she'd save for something special. And there was Mr. Chapman. His hands were around her waist. Not in that casual, quick work friends kind of way. No, this was slow. Mate. Familiar. I tapped through the story again and again, like if I watched it long enough, I could rewrite what I saw. She looked happy, carefree, drunk maybe, but not scared, not lost. She was exactly where she wanted to be. It wasn't until the sun started breaking through the blinds that I realized my hands had gone numb. I'd been gripping my phone so hard it left marks on my skin. The living room was still, the kind of stillness that only comes after something breaks. And then, at 6:42 a.m., the front door opened. No keys, just the door creaking wide like she'd been gone for minutes instead of hours. I didn't move. I didn't say a word, just watched as she stumbled inside. Still in the dress, heels in one hand, purse in the other. Her lipstick was smudged, eyes tired but dry. She looked like she'd walked off the cover of a magazine titled Regret-Free Affairs. There was a bite mark on her neck that stopped me cold. It wasn't huge, but it was there, deep red just under her jaw. Faint fingerprints around it like someone had held her there. My stomach twisted. She paused when she saw me, just for a beat, then rolled her eyes like I was an inconvenience. "You're still up?" she asked, voice groggy, irritated, like I was the one who did something wrong. I couldn't speak. My jaw felt locked, my tongue made of cement. All I could do was stare. She didn't wait for an answer. She brushed past me, muttering something about being exhausted, and that she'd explain later. I stood there, frozen. Not just in my body, in my whole damn soul. I watched her climb the stairs like this was a normal Saturday morning. Like she hadn't left me sitting alone at a dinner table. Like she hadn't ignored my calls, vanished into the night, and come back marked up like she'd survived a war or a lover's embrace. Memories hit me like a montage on fast forward. Our wedding, her laugh echoing across the canyon in Colorado. The time we got caught in the rain, and she swore it was the happiest she'd ever been. Her sleepy, "I love yous." The way she used to play with my beard when we watched movies. It all played at once. And then it stopped, like someone had ripped the tape from the machine and smashed it underfoot. Because none of it mattered anymore. Not if she could walk into my house wearing another man's imprint and not even flinch. I sat down on the couch, chest tight, head spinning. I was half expecting to wake up, for it to be a nightmare. But the smell of her perfume still lingered in the air, sharp and floral, like it was mocking me. Every sound in the house felt exaggerated. The creak of the floor upstairs, the quiet hum of the fridge, the ticking of the clock. Tick, 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 like a countdown to the moment I stopped being her husband and started being her fool. I stayed like that for over an hour. Didn't touch my phone. Didn't cry. I just unraveled. Quietly. Internally. Like a tire with a slow leak. One moment you're driving, the next you're swerving into something you never saw coming. I didn't go up to check on her. I didn't even want to see her face. All I knew was that something had shattered. And I didn't know if I was angry, heartbroken, or just plain numb. Probably all three. I didn't talk to her that day. Not a word. She stayed upstairs, sleeping through the morning like she hadn't just detonated a bomb in our marriage. Around noon, I heard the shower turn on. The pipes rattled a little. I'd been meaning to fix that. Funny how I still thought like a husband. Like a mechanic with a list of household chores even while the whole damn house felt foreign. I made coffee I didn't drink. Sat on the back porch staring at the fence I'd built with my own hands. I counted every nail, every board. I had done it for her. She wanted privacy back there. Said it would be nice to drink wine without the neighbors peeking in. Now I wondered how many times she'd leaned on that railing texting him. Her boss. Trey. Chapman. Whoever he was. I hadn't put a name to the man yet, but I had an image, tall, smug, moneyed. The kind of guy who throws a suit jacket over a bar stool and thinks women should be grateful just to be seen. I knew I should have confronted her that morning, demanded answers, but I didn't. I was too afraid of what I already knew. Because deep down I wasn't looking for denial. I was looking for proof. That night, after she fell asleep or at least stopped pretending to be awake, I went into the bedroom. The air was thick with silence. She was curled up on her side, back to me, still wearing one of my old t-shirts. I remember thinking how surreal it felt, like she had no idea she was lying next to a man who didn't recognize her anymore. I sat at the edge of the bed for a long time, just watching her breathe. And then I opened her purse. I wish I could say I hesitated, that I felt guilty. But no. My hands moved like they had a mission. And what I found, well, it told me everything. First, the receipt folded but still sharp-edged. A hotel downtown. Room 1408. Dated for the same night she grabbed one last drink with Chapman. One drink, huh? The total was just shy of $300. Room service, wine, valet. And then a bracelet. Men's. Leather band, steel clasp. Definitely not mine. I held it in my palm for a long time. Heavy. Still warm from being shoved in the bottom of her bag. I imagined her slipping it off of him. Or maybe he left it behind, careless. Confident. Like he knew he'd be back. I felt the floor tilt beneath me. I stood there in the dark for what felt like an hour, my hand clenched around that bracelet. Then I turned to her phone. Miraculously, it wasn't locked. Or maybe she had stopped caring. Maybe she thought I was too passive, too trusting, too stupid. Big mistake. I scrolled. First, the texts. Trey fire kiss mark. That's what she saved him as. Not Chapman. Not even T. Just Trey with a fire emoji and a kiss. How romantic. I clicked the thread. My thumb hovered for a second, then pressed down. That's when everything stopped. You drive me crazy, baby. Still thinking about last night. Can still taste you. He has no idea. God, that makes it hotter. Send me a pic in that dress again. You know the one. She had. The photos were there. Her, standing in our bedroom mirror, the blue dress hugging her like it was sewn onto her skin. Pouty lips. Tilted head. One strap slipped low on her shoulder. And then the video. She's in his lap. Giggling. His hands all over her. I recognized the room instantly, same bedspread, same art on the wall from the hotel receipt. The timestamp matched. She wasn't at a bar. She was in a bed. My bed in another life. I dropped the phone like it burned me. The worst part wasn't the S*X or the video or even the texts. It was the look on her face in the video. That sparkle in her eyes, the one she used to have for me. That open mouth laugh. That version of her that only shows up when she's completely lost in the moment. She hadn't looked at me like that in years. Whatever part of me still believed this was salvageable died right there on the floor. I felt my body lock up. My mouth went dry. I stumbled out of the room and into the hallway, gripping the banister like it might keep me upright. There's no manual for that moment. No handbook for what to do when your entire world is reduced to a digital file on someone else's phone. I had read about stuff like this. Watch movies where it happened to other people. Now I was the other people. The betrayal wasn't just physical. It was spiritual. It was in the way she laughed for him. In the way she let herself be seen, wanted by someone else. All while I was at home, making her casserole, folding her laundry, fixing her damn sink. I sat on the stairs for the rest of the night. Didn't go back in the room. Didn't move. Just thought. And when the sun finally rose, I knew. This wasn't a misunderstanding. It wasn't a mistake. It wasn't something we could patch up with therapy or wine and forced apologies. This was a choice. Repeated. Deliberate. Dirty. And she had made it over and over again while I played the fool. I didn't plan what I was going to say. I didn't write a speech or pace the hallway or stare into the bathroom mirror like a movie character trying to psych himself up. I just stood at the edge of our bedroom, staring through the half-open door as the woman I once thought I'd grow old with slept soundly in the aftermath of betrayal. At 9:27 a.m. she stirred. Rolled over. Groaned a little. She looked peaceful, like someone waking up after a fun night out. The bruises on her neck had darkened. The strap of her shirt had slipped down again. I walked in. The door swung open harder than I meant it to, slammed against the wall with a crack. She jumped, blinking fast. Jesus, Mark, what are you? Did you sleep with him? The words came out so flat they barely sounded like mine. No emotion. Just air and weight. I might as well have been asking about the weather. She blinked again, sat up slowly. What? I didn't move. I didn't blink. Trey, did you sleep with him? There was a pause. And then the laugh. Not a nervous laugh. Not a guilty one. It was sharp. Mean. Like she was laughing at me. You're pathetic, she said, tossing the blanket off her legs. Is that what this is about? You really think someone like Trey would actually want me? She stood, brushing past me, already heading toward the closet like the conversation was over. I followed her, something in me unraveling with every word. Layla. She yanked a sweatshirt from the shelf. We're boring, Mark. Don't you get it? We've been dead for a long time. So that's your excuse? I asked quietly. We hit a rut, so you just found someone new? She turned then, really turned, and looked at me like I was a pile of dishes in the sink she didn't feel like cleaning up. You fix cars and watch TV, she said. I needed more than that. I needed to feel alive. Alive. That word hit me like a bat to the chest. I'd heard it before, in books, in shows. It was always the word people used when they were trying to justify burning down their whole life for something shiny and temporary. I nodded slowly. So that's what this is? Trey made you feel alive. She rolled her eyes, pulling on the hoodie. Don't make this into a soap opera. I'm not, I said. I'm just trying to understand what version of you decided that being my wife wasn't enough anymore. I didn't decide anything, she snapped. It just happened. It didn't just happen, I said, stepping closer now, the distance between us closing like a door. You met him. You lied. You planned hotel rooms and secret texts. You sent him pictures from our bed. You did that. You made that choice. She flinched. Just a little. But it was enough. You went through my phone, she asked, voice rising. I let out a bitter laugh. That's what you're mad about? Her face twisted, somewhere between guilt and rage. You had no right. I shook my head. You gave up your rights the second you climbed into his lap. The silence that followed was the kind that changes things. Thick. Permanent. She sat down on the edge of the bed. I could see her trying to shift the narrative, trying to pivot to tears, maybe even an apology. But I wasn't interested anymore. I'd spent the last 24 hours holding my breath. Not anymore. I loved you, I said. God, I loved you so stupidly, Layla. I never even looked at anyone else. You were it for me. She looked up, eyes glassy but not yet crying. Mark? No, I cut in. Don't. You destroyed us. You took something solid, something real, and you turned it into a punchline. You don't get to cry now. She exhaled like the weight of pretending was finally too heavy to hold up. Fine. You want the truth. Always. I don't love you anymore. That one hit different. She didn't shout it. She didn't scream. She said it like she was giving a weather report. And somehow that made it worse. Then why stay? I asked. Why pretend? She shrugged. I didn't know where else to go. It was comfortable. Comfortable. Like an old hoodie you throw on when no one's watching. I stared at her for a long time. Not saying anything. Not asking for anything. Not even sure if I still felt anger or just clarity. This wasn't the woman I married. Not anymore. She wasn't even a stranger. She was someone else entirely. A new version of Layla, sharper, colder, and very much done with me. And I was done too. I turned to leave. Where are you going? She asked, her voice suddenly small again. Out, I said without turning back. Don't wait up. Her silence followed me down the hall like a ghost. I didn't pack a bag. Didn't grab toiletries or underwear or my favorite sweatshirt. I just grabbed my wallet, keys, and phone and walked out the door like the house was on fire. And in a way it was. Not with flames, but with ash. The ashes of trust, love, hope. All of it burnt to the ground by the woman sleeping upstairs like she hadn't just admitted she didn't love me anymore. I left the front door unlocked. Let her lock it if she wanted to. I didn't care anymore. I didn't know where I was going, and honestly, that was the only thing that felt good in that moment. The car started with a cough. Still needed that new belt I'd been meaning to install. I gripped the steering wheel with raw hands. Knuckles chapped from work and stress and too many nights clenched in silence. I didn't cry. I wasn't even angry. I just drove. Wound up in the south part of town. Past the lights. Past the noise. It was almost noon by the time I stopped. An empty lot behind the old car wash that shut down during COVID. I used to take Layla there sometimes. Back when the most dramatic thing in our lives was whose turn it was to vacuum the mats. Now it was just a ghost town of broken vending machines and weeds growing through cracked concrete. I parked behind the building, cut the engine, and sat there in the silence. 2 hours. That's how long I sat there. No music. No phone. Just me, the steering wheel, and the weight of everything that had been ripped away. I think part of me expected her to call, to text, to ask where I'd gone, maybe even apologize. She didn't, and that silence, that told me everything I needed to know. Eventually, my phone buzzed, but it was just a bank notification. Auto deposit hit. I stared at the number, and that's when it clicked. I still had control over something. Maybe not over her or what she'd done, but I had control over me. So I made a decision. I checked into a roadside motel just off the highway, neon sign flickering like it didn't want to be alive either. The front desk guy looked at me like he'd seen 1,000 of me, and maybe he had. Men with tired eyes and ringless fingers, paying cash and asking for a room far from the ice machine. The room itself was awful. Musty. Curtains too short for the windows. A TV bolted to the dresser. But it had a door I could lock and a bed that wasn't haunted by her scent. That was enough. I sat on the edge of the mattress and opened my laptop. First thing I did? Blocked her on everything. Phone, email, socials. Then I rerouted my paycheck to a new account I opened under a different bank. I locked her out of our old joint account, closed the card we shared, and canceled the shared cloud storage she never used. It was mechanical. Easy. One click at a time, I erased the access points she had to my life. Then I pulled up our phone plan and took my number off the account. Changed the password. Reassigned billing. She could get her own damn line now. That night, I emailed a lawyer. Didn't even hesitate. I explained everything, the infidelity, the proof, the timeline. Attached photos. Gave him the hotel receipt, **TS of the messages, and a bullet point summary of what I wanted. A clean cut. No negotiation. No sob story. Just results. I wasn't falling apart anymore. I was cutting her out like a tumor. Cold. Surgical. Precise. And the craziest part? Felt good. Not petty good. Not revenge good. But clean good. Like finally stepping out of a room that's been filled with smoke for years and taking your first deep breath. I laid back on the stiff motel bed, stared at the ceiling tiles. Somewhere outside, a semi rumbled past. I heard voices from the next room, maybe a couple fighting, maybe a TV. But in here, silence. Not the kind that comes from someone icing you out. The kind that says, you're finally alone, and no one's lying to your face. That night, I slept for 9 straight hours. No dreams. No nightmares. Just nothing. And when I woke up, I didn't check my phone. I didn't think about what she might be doing, or if she'd even noticed I was gone. Instead, I opened a notebook I found in the motel drawer, the kind people used to write license plate numbers or long-forgotten names. And on the first page, I wrote, "Today is the first day Layla doesn't matter." Then I underlined it. Twice. I didn't expect her to come looking for me. But a week after I left, she showed up, right in the middle of a Tuesday oil change. I was under a Ford, listening to the clink of tools and the hum of the shop radio, when I heard shouting out front. And then I heard my name. I slid out from under the car, hands still greasy, heart already bracing for impact. There she was, Layla, standing at the front of the garage like she was storming a castle. Her mascara was smudged, her hair tied up like she hadn't slept in days. She was yelling something about me not answering her calls. Something about, "We need to talk." My manager looked at me like, "You want me to call security?" I shook my head. I wanted to handle this myself. I walked out, wiping my hands on a rag. "You need to leave," I said. "Mark," she gasped, voice cracking. "Please just talk to me. I messed up. I know I messed up. I didn't mean for any of this to happen. People were watching. Customers. My coworkers. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. I told you," I said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "We're done." "Please," she begged. "I'm losing everything." "You already lost me," I said and turned my back to her. I thought that would be the end of it. But it wasn't. The next week I got served a restraining order from her. Said I'd threatened her. That she was scared I'd retaliate. I didn't know whether to laugh or scream. I sent everything, the texts, the hotel receipts, the **TS to my lawyer. He took one look and said, "This won't hold water." And it didn't. The judge tossed it out in minutes. It backfired on her. The fake order made her look desperate, and the evidence I had made her look like exactly what she was. Dishonest, manipulative, and trying to **P***nize the system to save face. I didn't even have to speak in court. My lawyer shredded her claims with quiet professionalism. I just sat there and watched her squirm in the witness chair. Her new man, Trey, never showed. That said enough. Later, I heard through mutual friends that Trey had bailed. Turned out he wasn't some hotch **T executive like she hinted. He was an unemployed cashier with maxed-out credit cards and 2 evictions on his record. Perfect match. She traded instability for excitement and got a whack. And that was enough to start with.